Over the last 2 months, I've been playing a ton of Doom, specifically Doom 2, as I've explored a lot of the mods that made these games stand the test of time, from the old total conversions of Aliens TC, to the creepy clown-infested rows of Happy Time Circus 2, or even the winding halls of My House.wad. But out of all of these mods and WADs, there was one name that kept coming up time and time again during my investigation. One name that had a lot of different reactions, some of love and enjoyment, some of disgust, and others with a combination of both. And it all begins with one bright color. The Pink Valley is a Doom 2 mod created by Van Villadon, a Chilean game developer, animator, and musician, and was released to the world on the 11th of November 2024. When this mod released, it gathered a small fanbase who all believed that this was one of the most psychologically messed up games in a long time, with a lot of comparisons to the likes of Cry of Fear, Silent Hill, and some other games that we'll touch on later. However, when I began to play through it all, it began to worm into my brain like a virus, and I just simply can't stop thinking about it. So I thought I should spread this sickness onto you all. Okay, that sounded very fucking weird, and together, we'll dive deep into this terrifying Doom mod. Hi, just before this video can begin, I would like to make a pretty cool announcement. I've been doing this YouTube thing for like the last several months, and I say that I've gotten pretty good at it. Maybe the jury's still out on that, but while working on this video, I was really concerned about this video getting potentially limited or demonetized due to the graphic content in this game. So, I thought, why not do what every other YouTuber does? Launch a Patreon. Here is where you can find all sorts of cool stuff. Things like post-mortems of my old videos, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos, and the most important benefit, your name at the end of the video. Up right now, I have a post-mortem of my Ghosts in the Static video, as well as an uncensored and ad-free version of this video you're watching right now, which includes a whole new ending sequence that I had to cut out due to copyright issues. Listen, I worked really hard on it. I'm not gonna waste it away. Just fuck copyright. Also, I will be making a Patreon exclusive tier list video of all of the media that I consumed for the Urban Spook video, including movies that I didn't even cover in the video, so maybe check that out. Your support absolutely means the world to me, and for helping me get this far in my channel. I am someone who doesn't really like to take most sponsorships due to my own morals, and I tend not to use algo speak in my videos because 1, I'm old, and 2, saying sewer slide is just really fucking stupid, so yeah, the support really means a lot to me in the long run. If you want to support me and my content, then please sign up in the description to my Patreon, as it's only a $5 a month. But if you just want to do a one-time payment, then you could also check out my Ko-fi in the description as well. Psst, by the way, I'm not doing channel memberships on YouTube just yet. I'll figure something out since, I don't want to clog my channel with member exclusive bullshit, but just give me some time to work something out, okay? Thank you. Anyway, thank you for letting me ramble on. Let's start off this video properly. When the game begins, it opens to the color white. We turn around to see that we were looking out of a window from our bedroom, and we see our room with pictures of a blue-eyed lady on the bedside table. We go to the kitchen to find old pictures of what we can assume to be us, a dog, and bottles all over the counter and in the living room too. We walk out to find ourselves in a peaceful neighborhood. Dogs barking in the garden, a family playing and having fun, kids at the playground enjoying themselves, and a couple cuddling behind the park bench in the bushes. We also explore our backyard to find a mound of dirt next to the doghouse. I think that's where our dog is now. The neighborhood is calm, serene, and quite mundane. We head off to the bus stop and scan our PIB card. We walk down the bus and find our usual spot in the back of the bus. And we get off at another neighborhood, empty and alone. We wander around the local park and the streets surrounding it to find a pink house with the gates open. We walk inside it and, well, I'll let this play out for you. We just killed someone. The blue-dyed woman in the pictures, and quite possibly someone we used to know. We come to our senses in the bathroom. Perhaps it was just all a bad dream. Everything seems to be fine in the house, although the pictures have been taken off the walls. So we go outside to continue our day, and why do I have a shotgun? Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. So, now we're getting into some dicey territory. What we just experienced was what many people consider to be the prologue, or, well, the first 2 levels of Act 1. And for the next 4 levels is, well, a rage-induced massacre of civilians, children, police officers, and the SWAT team as well. This is the part of the game that a lot of people have major issues with on a thematic level, so I'll tackle that soon, but for now, I want to focus on the combat and the gunplay because this is where it starts to branch away from the game it's built on. For one, you have multiple melee weapons that you can choose from, like knives, a chainsaw, and a hammer. Each of these weapons, including the guns as well, have a alternate fire or secondary fire that gives you different things for different situations. The hammer uses a charge that allows you to get more health from people if you hit them correctly. The knife you can throw at people, and the chainsaw you can only use once you have used the alt fire to activate it. The guns act very similar too. The starting shotgun has an alternate fire where it just pulls out your pistol and you shoot with that instead, and the alt fire just switches between the 2 weapons. You get a revolver that you can one-shot a lot of the SWAT team in armor with, and also can ricochet off walls with its alt fire. And you also get a machine gun that allows you to throw grenades at people, and in certain circumstances, those people can survive this blast, allowing you to finish them off. Wait, why is it only women who survive this blast? It's probably nothing. This actually allows for interesting gameplay that allows you to tackle certain enemies in different ways. Do you want to get up close and risk dying just to get close to use your hammer to heal back up? What about using your melee weapons to get rid of the shields and then finishing off with a shotgun blast once it's down? Or do you just want to kill them with one revolver shot? It's really interesting gameplay that I'm a big fan, to be quite honest. Oh, there's also one more weapon that I missed, and that's
The big fucking fire axe.
this thing is probably the most important weapon in the game, most of the time, purely for its alternate fire, where you throw Molotov cocktails at your enemies and watch them burn. Why is it important? Oh, trust me, you'll need it for later. Okay, enough being around the bush, it's time to talk about the actual contents of this act. As I have said before, you commit a massacre of innocent people in these 4 levels, each with varying difficulties and level layouts as well. There's 2 important game inspirations that I left out at the beginning of the video, and it's time to talk about them in detail. That being the game Postal and Hatred. These games are ones where you go out on a shooting rampage and kill innocent people, police and military as well. However, with Postal, and especially the sequels, it has this tongue-in-cheek kind of attitude, like going around and shooting people, and the Postal dude is just shouting one-liners out at people.
The gun knows.
Then there's Hatred, which is actually directly referenced in this game itself.
My name is not important.
However, another thing to note in Hatred and in Postal as well is one big thing. You cannot kill children in them, but you can in Pink Valley. So that's one thing that this game has going for it in the mass murder simulator market. However, as you begin to progress through the levels, things start to get weird. In the second level, shown in the park, you enter a house with a shaking and crying mother holding her baby. After you finally start to come to your senses, realize that your mass murder spree isn't with it in the end, and finally decide to help this poor mother calm down her baby and give her some rest. With a revolver, you start to suddenly teleport to a bathroom. And this can happen while you're out fighting the police. It is possible you could be zoning out and then coming back to your senses in the bathroom, but there's also a couple who are completely oblivious to their surroundings. They first start talking to each other, then go to a nearby spot to hug, before finally having a heated argument. After finally clearing out the police, you find someone sitting on the park wall with no face. So you take him out and this next level has you enter a school and during this section, after collecting the blue key, you find a classroom open, and there you can see a book with the word Pathetica written all over it in blue ink. Interestingly enough, this is the female pronunciation for the word pathetic in Spanish. After exploring for a while, we hear knocking sounds to find this ungodly scene. Doesn't that look like the woman we killed at the beginning of the game? After we kill more people, get the red key, and finally kill the principal of the school, we get access to the playground, which we can see is filled with children. But when we walk in to greet them, I guess we got the yellow key now. Okay, now we have the key. Let's go unlock that door we saw earlier and... Okay, something messed up is happening here. And it's not the mass murder we're currently doing right now, let me tell you that. The last level of this act is a supermarket, where, you guessed it, you kill a bunch of people. But this time, it's to groovy dance music. Okay, speaking of the music, I want to touch on the music that is being used in this mod, because sometimes it is original work done by Van Villadon himself, while other times they're remixed versions of existing songs. The song in the school level and the first neighborhood level is by Mr. Bungle, specifically the songs Mr. Nice Guy from the OU818 demo and Hypocrites from the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. While the park level and the shopping level are musics from the Mexican electronic band Maria Daniela y su Sonido Láser, with the songs Chicle de Menta and Pobre Estúpida. Also, fun fact, I found out that the song Pobre Estúpida actually had a resurgence recently due to people comparing the song and the album it's from to Charlie XCX's Brat, which is pretty neat. Anyway, back to the murder simulator. When we get inside the supermarket, we kill a lot of people inside, but there's one that acts differently from everyone else. So we kill him and he's still alive. Maybe some extra stabs will do the job. What the fuck? After exploring the bathroom, weirder things start to happen, including the market being repopulated with civilians that explode when you get close to them, the banging sound happening once more, and that fucking woman staring behind the food counter. After exploring more, you manage to encounter the first boss of the game. It's actually quite manageable as long as you use the supermarket shelves as cover, and once you finally kill the boss, silence. No screams. No music. No police chatter. Nothing. You leave the supermarket to find yourself on a street nearby, and you scan the bus stop with your bus pass. The next level is empty. No one around. The bus, the neighborhood streets, just you and your thoughts. Did you do what was right? Was it all worth it? Did all that killing actually satisfy your hunger? Or are you still starving? No matter. We make our way back home. We enter the house to go to bed, and we're back in our bedroom. Was it all a nightmare? Everyone's here again. Everyone's alive. It's peaceful once more. Dogs barking in the garden. A family playing and having fun. Kids at the playground enjoying themselves. And a couple cuddling behind the park bench in the bushes. However, something has changed. When we go behind our house to the doggy grave, it's been dug up. And weirder enough, when we go to the bus stop to leave town, the scanner's missing. We go across the bridge to find it boarded off, and a green dragon plushie on the other side. Wait, didn't we see that in the girl's bedroom? Wait, where the fuck did everyone go? We explored the empty neighborhood to find a house that was previously inaccessible, and we see a picture of us. We leave the house and... Wait, what the fuck is that? The neighborhood has been completely transformed, where the civilians have now been replaced by creatures that chase after you with this distorted form, and all spawning from these fleshy pillars that you can easily take out with the Molotov cocktails that you have from your fire axe. You continue forward, find a shotgun and a pistol, and move onwards to the nearby park. To find placed on the bench is a photo that you can pick up. It's of you and the woman that you previously killed, kissing each other, with nothing else to do. The next level has you return to the place of the murder, the pink house, but there's no one there. You leave the house into the pitch darkness, and suddenly you're back at your house once again. The fuck was that? Okay, we'll just keep going forward. We look around the house some more, and that wasn't there before. Well, there's only one way forward. Welcome to the maze, where the real game begins. The maze is filled with corridors, some that loop onto themselves, and even one where you walk in complete darkness. All the while, you are constantly attacked by humanoid creatures that will bite you, dealing massive damage to you, and even in some cases transform into a fleshy being that shoots projectiles at you if you don't dispatch them quick enough. The only way to deal with them is either hit them down with the axe, or use fire to take them out quickly. In a small maze, you can actually locate the chainsaw that you can use to mow them down if you have the gas available. And okay, that's all the good things I can say about this level, because this maze kinda sucks. It's extremely easy to get lost in it, which I'm sure is the intention, but the way that there's no real landmarks to quickly assess your surroundings, and with how hard these enemies hit, you'll be dying a lot, and lost at the same time. The level design in this section is pretty weak, and in my honest opinion, the worst part of the game by far, due to how hard it is to navigate. However, there is a way to escape the maze, and that's by collecting the keys, and you can actually find the yellow key by going through doors, and even one part where you go back the way you came from, and then when you finally collect the key, you find a warning on the door telling you not to open the box. Naturally, I opened the box. Put a pin in it, we'll come back to it later. After traversing tight corridors and a dark maze, we finally gain access to the red key needed to proceed. So, let's open this door and— oh fuck! While I try to escape this last bit of the maze, I want to pull back the curtain and talk to you about how this game uses Z-Doom to do its tricks, thanks to a certain thing called line portals. What they do is teleport the player seamlessly from one place to another, and you can do some freaky stuff with it, like having a room on top of a room, despite it not being possible to be done in the regular Doom engine. Z-Doom, and also UZ-Doom, which is what I'm using to play this mod, gives the developer way more tools to circumvent this roadblock, and also allows some really cool stuff. It's how you can use a line portal to move a player from a small home into the maze, and also not allow them to go back if you set the portal to only go one way. This game also uses silent teleports to move the player to each room via interacting with the doors. It's actually reminding me with how Cryofear handles its doors in that game too. Oh, also, while I'm here, I found out there's a script that causes the game to get darker and darker the longer you stay in the maze, so, thank you, Van Villadon, for that. Love you. Another thing I want to touch on when reaching this maze is that this is where the game starts to ramp up its difficulty. In Act 1, it's actually not that tough at times, and maybe you die once or twice during the whole thing, depending on how good you are at Doom, but here, it is extremely likely that you'll get surrounded by enemies and get completely destroyed by these creatures. Due to how much damage they do, it is very likely that you'll be at very low life during the whole ordeal, unless you want to use up all of your hammer heals or locate the chainsaw. Either way, be aware of your surroundings, as it will be very easy to just get annihilated by these mobs. Okay, now that's been settled, it's time to get out of this maze. We make it through, outrun the monsters, and return back to the X's house, with the room open to find the bed covered in blood. You leave, and that's where the level ends. The next big level is that of the school once again, but overrun by monsters and flashy pillars. You see whiteboards describing the bullying that the protagonist went through, and a familiar sight. You continue onwards to the women's bathroom with nothing in there. You leave to find the outside world replaced by a long hallway, an infinite amount of bathroom stalls, with a familiar knocking sound. When you reach the end, you open the stall to find... From the brief glimpse of what we saw, it looks to be a distorted version of us, smashing the X's face against the wall. Perhaps it's telling us something that's deep within us. After jumping to escape the hall, we come across this thing. I don't have much else to say, so let's just kill this fucker. Oh god, it's running after me. We re-enter the school, but it looks to be much larger in scale. It almost feels like we went from an elementary school to a high school. We find yet another hallway filled with blood and gore to come across this scene. This bathroom is filled with distorted versions of ourselves, shooting and attacking us. The bathroom becoming stained with blood, decaying bodies, and the sound of flies all over the place. All the while, manic music is playing in the background. This song is yet another remixed version of a Mr. Bungle song, specifically the one called Everyone I Went to High School With Is Dead, from the album Disco Volante. While making our way through the blood-soaked rooms, we come across a hole that we jump down and find our first new weapon of this section. A minigun that uses slug spray and teeth as its ammo to decimate foes, and its alternate fire is one where you fire slugs through it and create clouds that deal a lot of damage to its enemies, and yourself if you are unlucky to be caught by it. Once we get the red key and leave, we quickly find the blue key. And when we try to leave, we get greeted by some very lovely guests. And by guests, I mean these shitheads. Now, after dealing with that, we then proceed to the next level. I'm going to let this next section play out by itself, with minimal edits for time. This section really hit me hard so fucking much. From the distant screaming of the parents, the empty house, the happy pictures of the family with the main character stretched out and missing from them, only to find a child version of you sitting alone with no one around to look after him, and then squeezing the life out of him just to heal yourself back up. It's just gut-wrenching. You could see it in the footage that I tried any way to escape from what needed to be done, and it still hurts. Seeing a version of yourself, all lost, abandoned, and neglected by the entire family hits close to me than anything else, and the way this section is handled really makes me feel like the developer knows when to pull his punches. Let me remind you that an hour ago, we were mowing down civilians left, right, and center, and now you are mowing down yourself. I'll discuss this later in the video, but let's just keep moving forward. We proceed to a distorted version of the house where Cerberus dog creatures attack us, and I know they're supposed to be creepy and scary, but their attack sound effect is just a doorstop spring. I can't take it seriously with the sound effect, I'm sorry. We then managed to locate 2 new weapons in this act, one being a flamethrower that handles these monsters with relative ease, and the other weapon, it's just a super shotgun, but it also has an alternate fire where you shoot a fire grenade at people. Honestly, it's nothing to write home about, to be quite honest, it's just the super shotgun. We continue forward, find another copy of ourselves which we can use to heal back to full health if needed, and we enter a gauntlet of monsters, all overrunning us, and we could easily die if we don't quick on our feet. Once you have survived long enough, the exit opens up and you quickly manage to escape. We walk through the hallways, find a massacre of bodies with the red key in view, but with no way to access it. We walk until we end up in a forest, walking towards the light to find an opening. The sun setting in the distance. As we get closer to our next objective, we see a glimpse into the past. It's a view before all of this happened, and your ex, cuddling together on the hill, watching the sun go down. But you cannot relive that experience anymore, so you keep walking into the darkness. Also, side note, you probably have noticed it in the video footage, but the head bob during these slow sections can get real fucking annoying, and at some points can just take you out because of how stupid it looks bouncing around all over the place. You can fix this by lowering the head bob in the HUD settings in UZ Doom, but from what I can find, there's actually no way to turn it off directly in the game itself, so you just kind of have to deal with it. You return to the bus, making your way to your usual spot, walking back home with the sky a pinkish color. You stop by the bench where you first collected the picture of you of your ex, before heading back home, staring off from the window, now completely covered in darkness. Pink. That is the first thing you see when you first enter Act 3 of the game. You walk out of your bedroom to find that the kitchen is in complete darkness, and the bathroom the same too, with only the mirror being replaced with the pink skybox. The neighborhood has been transformed into something unrecognizable. Massive chasms where the pavement used to be, and the sky turned into a bright pink haze. The only difference is that the next door neighbor shows the family happy with their child playing in the living room. Traversing the harsh conditions and large holes, you encounter new enemies that have taken the shape of distorted versions of your ex. Here is where you find all of your weapons again, as well as a new one, the blood rifle. This is one of the best guns in the game, and the only ammo you can find is, well, your own blood. Its alternate fire is essentially trading your life for ammo, and with it, you can do crazy amounts of damage with it. You continue forwards, raising mobs with molotovs and doing small platforming sections above bottomless pits. You encounter the bane of my existence. These giant-ass women monsters. They do an insane amount of damage, and they throw a projectile where if it hits you, you slow down a lot, which makes them very easy to gang up on you and maul you to death. These monsters suck. I hate them. They make me lose my goddamn mind. Anyway, the level ends and we return to our living room, where we watch Fox News before proceeding with the rest of the level.
The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers.
While going through the next level, we get introduced to more fleshy creatures. One who looks like three people combined together, and another with a TV static and a TV screen embedded into its body. Probably to show whatever Tucker Carlson is doing at the moment.
Maybe he doesn't like all the ugly new shoes he sees around him. Maybe he liked the sexy boots.
After fighting off the monsters once again and escaping into a pink void, we manage to reach the final level of the entire game. Resting at the bus stop, we head towards a farm where we will fight to survive. Wave after wave, monsters of our own mind come forth to take us out, but we persist, constantly teleporting to a hazy pink mess before returning to the shed in the middle. The longer we fight, the more dangerous it becomes. It's tough, but finally, we manage to kill everything in sight. Re-entering the shed, and entering a hole in the wall, we proceed until we come to, returning to our living room, and we find that we were rescued by someone. The main character's ex. Our life regenerating while we're here, and she gives us more ammunition and a military-grade armor. Why does she even have this? I have no idea. After the gentle warmth of our ex, we set forth into the unknown, with courage and hope, into our last fight. Okay, I don't know why it plays Subways of Your Mind here. I didn't edit this in whatsoever, it just plays it. We get it, you played My House.Wad. Cool. Anyway, the music empowers you, mowing down enemies with ease and also regenerating your health as well. An endless pink void surrounds you as you confront yourself and your deepest thoughts. Until finally, after enough carnage, you've come across the final boss in the entire game. Yourself. A towering monstrosity, a glitchy mess of flesh, blood, and veins as it attacks the player, shooting at you, trying to take you down. It can also go underground and zigzags to you, where it leaves a trail of bombs in its wake. It's a tough fight, and with the limited resources that you have, it feels like an impossible task. Until it is too much to take, and you get caught in its grasp. In the darkness, one final scene is shown to you. And it's of the protagonist and his ex in an embrace, as the black void slowly consumes it all. Congratulations! You just got the bad ending. There is actually another ending we can get when we beat the boss, but before we can do just that, I think we would need some more firepower. Before we can fight this boss again, we would need to collect 2 secret weapons that are important to us, with giving us a fair chance at beating the boss fair and square. Both of them are integral to the protagonist's life and psyche. However, before we actually start this journey to collect them, let's go back to the very beginning and check out some secrets in Act 1 before we do so. In the first level of Act 1, there's actually some strange stuff happening that the player is unaware of when playing through the level. One is that on the bridge, you can see a distorted version of your ex staring from above. Another is how you finish the level. I didn't mention it in my first playthrough, but after killing a certain amount of enemies, you are given the bus pass needed to leave. And most players do just that, but what if you stay put and try and kill every single enemy in the level? Well, you get this sequence. In the second level, there's also an alternative route that you can do if you never enter the bathroom. You still teleport around, mind you, but the couple in the park never show up. Once you finally kill everyone in the map once again, the blank-faced character needed to progress doesn't show up. But instead, if you go in the bathroom, also, in the second level, there is actually a secret that is the only one you can find in the entire game that's official, and it's Okay, so here's the sound effect in Doom when you find a secret. And here's that same sound effect in the Pink Valley. What is the sound? Maybe it's something that Van Villadon found funny, but it's just so stupid, I love it. Also, I have nowhere else to put this, but during Act 3, I got tired and decided to turn on God mode because I was constantly at low life and it was annoying the shit out of me. Why the fuck is this the God mode face? I know what you are. Anyway, now that we got the level secrets out of the way, let's find the first secret weapon. Remember back in Act 2 where we collected the yellow key and a warning told us not to open it? Remember how we completely ignored that warning? Well, in the school level, there's actually a door that is locked by a yellow key, which is strange because there's no yellow key in the level at all. There's something actually interesting with how the keys work in this game. When you collect the keys, you simply collect the box that the key is in, and pressing the fire button allows you to open it and collect the key. Well, what if you don't open the box with the yellow key inside, and turns out, you can bring the yellow key with you to the next level, allowing you to open the door. Going through the door, we end up in a long and dark hallway that fades to black before showing this. We return to the courtyard where we face a secret boss. A flying dragon? What the fuck? So the dragon that we fight is actually a corrupted version of something we have been seeing throughout the entire game, that being a plushie with the name Monono. Monono has been following us throughout this entire game, whether we noticed it or not, taunting us to collect him, but never being able to do so. But now, we have the chance to take this beast down. The boss is extremely tough and has a lot of health to spare too. The best option is to use the revolver to chunk its health. There's actually a cheese tactic that I learned where if you use the alternate fire of the revolver and get Monono to this corridor, you can absolutely delete its health in seconds. And with the battle complete, you collect your prize. A smaller and deflated Monono. But now we need a way to reinflate Monono, making it big and round. Well, to do that, we would need to feed it something. What is it, you may ask? Well, it's the representation of your lost and troubled childhood, silly. During the section where you need to squeeze the life out of the mini protag, you can instead use Monono. But I'm sure it'll be fine, nothing will go wrong. Oh, okay. Anyway, Monono is busted as fuck. Monono has a bite attack that allows you to gain uses of his secondary attack, which absolutely decimates anyone in your path. It makes some of the toughest enemies in the game a fucking cakewalk. Take, for example, the tall woman monsters that I hate with all of my being. This is how a usual encounter goes for the first playthrough. Now here's me encountering them with Monono. You may also be wondering how the hell you get Monono back after the game takes away all of your weapons. Well, in Act 3, once you collect the red key, you actually encounter Monono once again. When you go to the platform with Monono on it, you get teleported to this playground area, where you find the egg containing the deflated Monono once again. Also, I will get some comments about this, but you can escape the school level without killing the Monono boss, but it will just show up later, where you can just kill it again. Most of the time, it's just easy to kill it there and then at the school. Moving on. The second secret weapon is actually based on something that's close and dear to the protagonist's heart, and is only shown to us via context clues and the pictures in the kitchen. His dead dog, Frida. The way you get the weapon is in the third act, where on your travels you encounter a platforming section where you find a blue key. The only door that appears to be locked outside of the red door is the one by your house, blocking you off from the backyard. You make your way back to your house, and you decide not to go back inside your house. You do not want to do this. I beg you, do not go back into the house in this section. Don't do it. Don't do it. Bad. You finally enter a section of the map that has been blocked off since the start of the game. The sewer section. Because all horror games love having you go through sewage water. You find yourself in a section where you need to collect 2 keys. One that you can find by accessing a high area, and another by brutally killing a dog. You find the gate needed to progress, fight your way through an endless arena of enemies while the platform rises, and make your way to your dog's final resting place. Oh, and also there's a rocket launcher too. This rocket launcher is extremely good, as it has the ability to clear a whole group of enemies with one rocket, and the best thing is also its secondary fire, where it sends Frida towards your enemies to maul them to death. Yes, my very own attack dog. Go, my Labubu! Slaughter them all! Okay, before we get the good ending, there's actually an alternative path in the second level of Act 3. It just introduces new enemies that just make the game harder than it needs to be. I didn't do this in the playthrough. Sorry, I'm not a epic gamer, but if you do want to make the game harder for yourself, then go ahead and do this route. I don't think there's any hidden secrets in this section. It just makes the game harder than it needs to be. Okay, now that we have the tools needed to take down the final boss, we'll go through the final fight once more. We say goodbye to our ex, and to the warmth of our living room, and enter the Valley of Pink once more.
Say that again?
Okay, now let's see how our weapons deal with the final boss once more. Okay, I think this is working a bit too well. I guess we did it. Yay! Now, let's open this key and leave this all behind us. We return back home to find that the sky has become corrupted. Flashes of pink and white glitches fill the world while everything else is a pitch black. The world is empty, but serene. While we wander around the empty world, the song The Way Ahead Feels Lonely by the Caretaker plays as we make our way to the bus stop. I'm never gonna fucking escape the Caretaker at this point. We get on the bus, sit in our usual spot, and we drive away from it all. The screen fades to black as the game finally draws to its conclusion. Or does it? If we use the same technique as we did before by not opening the yellow key and go through the door, do the final sequence once again, get on the bus and drive away, the game actually doesn't end. Instead, it brings us back to our house, the same as it ever was, with the exception of a door that was never there before, which is locked, but now we can open it. We enter a long hallway with nothing interesting inside it. We walk all the way to the end to find the door. Oh great, it's gonna be one of those hallways that gets shorter and shorter every time we reach the end. Okay, not quite. Near the end, there's a room that wasn't there before with light shining from above. When we leave the room, a loud thud could be heard. Coming back, and there's this large box in the center of the room. We approach it and... Okay, the secret level is you fighting evil clown dinosaurs. There's actually no blood and guts here. The dinosaurs explode into confetti, and the whole section involves you saving the kids at the school. There's also a room filled with dinosaurs partying, which is very cute. They're having the time of their lives. I don't want to kill them at all. But there's this question I've been thinking about throughout this entire level. Do they eat kids? Okay, fair enough. After progressing through the level, shooting down dinosaurs floating in the air with balloons, and coming across this scene,
dinosaurs.
we enter the stage where we will find the secret boss. We fight the dino, tap dancing away and having a jolly good time before suddenly, everything goes dark, and the second phase happens. This part is way harder than usual. The boss fills the screen with tails that shoot projectiles, block the path, and also chases you underground. All the while, it taunts you with nightmarish visuals. After everything that occurs, we take down this awful beast with a joyful glee. Aww, Monono and Frida are here. And now that we've got all three endings for the game, I think it's time to slowly unpack the game, its story, theme, and messaging. Let's do this, shall we? The story begins with the protagonist himself, who, in the game files, is actually referred to as Tillin. Finally, I can stop referring to him as the protagonist. This isn't fucking Tenet, and honestly, I do not see Robert Pattinson anywhere in this mod. Unless he actually plays Tillin's ex, honestly, that man can play anybody. Speaking of the ex, her name is actually Ella, and both Tillin and Ella were in a loving relationship, but due to the childhood trauma that Tillin had suffered, and Ella's own personal issues that we briefly get a glimpse of in the Act 1 school level, they decide to break up, due to how toxic their relationship actually was. Despite all of this, Tillin begins to resent his ex, and due to context clues around his house, like the alcohol bottles, begins to drink himself into a depressive spiral. And whether it happened recently or earlier in the timeline, his dear dog, Frida, dies as well. There's actually references in the game files that suggest that Frida died due to cancer. This is where the game first begins, with Tillin taking the bus to Ella's place and killing her in cold blood. After this, he begins a rampage around the town, killing civilians, police, and even targeting his old school and killing the head teacher as revenge for the bullying he suffered as a child. While the rampage occurs, his mind starts to break and starts to see visions and hallucinations of his past relationship before he finally starts to succumb to his delusions. Act 2 and 3 is where an internal struggle occurs, where he fights off monsters of his own mind, some that look like his neighbors and friends, while others look more like a violent depiction of himself. He comes across a painful memory of his childhood and the neglectful environment that he was raised in. In Act 3, the monsters take on a more fleshy tone, some that actually look like the depictions of sex, before finally, he meets with Ella once again, as he confronts his darkest ideas of himself, and depending on which ending you get, either he kills himself, or comes out alive, but emotionally broken, as he leaves town to become a better person. The monsters in these levels have this red, blue, and black glitchy mess to them, colliding with their own bodies. This actually has a name and is referred to as corrosion. It's also the name of two of the hardest difficulties in the game. People have theorized that this corrosion is a representation of mental decay that occurs with mental health issues that are shown throughout the entire game. Now, we would need to touch on an important part of my analysis, and for that, we would need to discuss a conversation, nay, a scholarly debate that's occurring within the community of this game, and it's all due to one question. Did Act 1 actually happen? Acts 2 and 3, I can confidently say that they are an internal struggle, but Act 1 feels way more grounded in reality. While it does have weird things happening, they could potentially be interpreted as him slowly disassociating and zoning out. But a lot of people also believe that this act simply doesn't happen in real life, and is just a fantasy of him going on a violent rampage. Of course, if this is all true, then all of it takes place in his head, and it becomes one of those, guys, it's all in your head stories that I'm not particularly a big fan of. This trope is very notorious with breaking the unspoken rule between the player and the creator about the fictional reality of the media. Horror stories love to do this, but it does it in a way that actually confronts the protagonist's worldview and mental psyche to enact actual change rather than just breaking all of the intention like in most genres. I personally believe that the whole game, outside of one section, is all inside Tillin's mind, and for that, we would need to look at the moment where we kill Ella once again. Why is Monono here? Monono can be seen throughout the whole game, either through images from the past or by showing up outside of the reach of the player, and it even shows up a lot in Act 1. You can see it in the plushies cage in the supermarket, you can even see it over a wall in the park level as well, and the reason why I think this is important is, well, the Monono that we see in the game isn't real at all. Monono is actually based on an actual plushie that was discontinued in 2013, and from whiteboards in the school level in Act 2, you can see that there's a message saying that it's in the garbage, followed by a drawing of Monono. Hi, Editing Bedo here. While I was going through the video, I realized I didn't mention a important part of the Pink Valley analysis that I think a lot of people will comment on that I haven't mentioned yet, so I'm gonna do that now. I am completely aware of the Chilean inspirations of the game itself, like PIB is actually the Metro card that Chile uses. The environments are very reminiscent of Chilean suburbs. There's also the police, which have a lot of the same colors as Chilean police. Even Paco is a reference to that too. I just wanted to quickly mention that. I am aware of it. Anyway, back to the video. When you die to the Monono boss fight, it even says abandoned by a piece of shit. So if Monono is long gone, then what the hell is it representing in this dream? Well, my interpretation of Monono is that it is of the innocence of childhood. It shows the joy of being a child, as in the pictures in Tillin's home depict. It's why the weapon variant of Monono feeds on the mini Tillins. Something that Vembilodon actually confirmed in a comment, as he says that Monono reconnects with the child's imagination and creativity. Monono showing up on the bed next to Ella at the beginning of the game shows to us that all of this is just a dream. A sick and twisted dream. But what do I think is reality in the game's story? Well, the good ending. This, I feel like, is how Tillin sees the world. Disconnected from everything. The sky corroded just like the monsters in his mind, and him walking to the bus stop and driving away could be him actually going somewhere to better himself, to seek mental health, and to get away from his current situation. All the trauma, all the horror, all the abuse, a way forward out of the hell Tillin is in. There's also something else I want to touch on too. That whole secret clown dino ending shit. It's so out of place. But why is it in the game in the first place? Well, on Van Villadon's channel, there's a video that might explain everything. And it's called Life Can Be Worse. It's an animation that he made for his school, and it's an animation of a child from a neglectful family finding a box containing a clown dinosaur. They play, they have fun, but when the dinosaur is introduced to his friends, it completely goes on a rampage and kills his schoolmates and his entire family. A lot of the sound effects and visuals and music completely mirror with the second phase of the boss fight as well. People think that this is actually canon to the story of Pink Valley, but I personally don't think that's the case. But it does share a lot of similarities with Tillin's upbringing in the game. Perhaps the dinosaurs could represent the horror of the abusive childhood, as both clowns and dinosaurs can either be scary and violent to children, or bring wonder and joy to a lot of them. Like, how many kids do you know that think dinosaurs are the coolest shit ever? It shows the double-edged sword of the upbringing of many neglected childhoods, both mixed with wonder and joy, but also pain and suffering. Now, I think we've unpacked most of the themes and ideas of this game, but there's one more topic I want to touch on, and that I've been skirting around for this entire video. So, let's go back to the start of the video and look back at a comment I made. Hey, editor, can you go back and show the clip to the audience? Please? Pretty please? With a cherry on top? I'll give you $10 million. Those people can survive this blast, allowing you to finish them off. Wait, why is it only women who survive this blast? It's probably nothing.
Yeah, about that.
Throughout the entire game, there has been a lot of hints and messaging about women and Tillin's perception of them. In Act 1, the women have special death animations and drop more health for the player to pick up compared to men. There's the explosion that has the chance of the women to survive and for you to finish them off. In Act 3, there's a lot of monster designs that depict either the female anatomy or a monstrous depiction of the female body. There's even Ella, who shows up to torment the player and even appears as creatures too. Even some of the monsters in Act 2 have this aspect to them as well. The flesh pillars that bring forth the corroded creatures, they can also spawn out of dead monsters as well if a slug touches it. Something to me reads like it's a cycle of rebirth. And that's not even to mention some of the fucking names of these monsters as well. Throughout the story, the game has you constantly thinking about how Tillin views women, and especially Ella. In the bathroom section in Act 2, you can find a heavily distorted and decaying version of Ella cowering in fear, and you need to kill her in order to proceed with the level. But however, despite the horrors and the negative depictions of Ella and the women in the game, a light always shines through, showing the beauty and the reality of what the relationship was actually like. She wasn't a monster, a sexual being, or a floating head. She was a person who Tillin cared for. In my research for this section of the video, I came across a lot of examples of men who went through breakups, even amicable ones, that subconsciously sully and damage the reputation of their ex-partner. In the article How I Overcame Anger After a Breakup by Harsh Y, he describes how, whether intentional or not, made it so that he badmouthed his ex, wished that the ex would never find love again, and even spread fake rumors about them as a way to shame them and satisfy his own ego. Whether the relationship ended badly or well, misogyny will always find a way to rear its ugly head. Something that I read recently that helped me understand the way men do these kinds of things is the book The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. It's a fantastic book about how masculinity and the patriarchy not only affects women, but also subjugates men into this thinking as well by emotionally stunting themselves. As she writes, "The first act of violence that patriarchy demands of males is not violence towards women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. If an individual is not successful in emotionally crippling himself, he can count on patriarchal men to enact rituals of power that will assault his self-esteem." Tillin's childhood also reflects this self-mutilation as well, where the man of the house asserts his power in the household, while the mother simply cannot do anything to help, and becomes neglectful as well. Usually adult males who are unable to make emotional connections with the women they choose to be intimate with are frozen in time, unable to allow themselves to love, for fear that the loved one will abandon them. If the first woman they passionately loved, the mother, was not true to a bond of love, then how could they trust that their partner will be true to love? This aspect of misogyny also plays a part in the first act as well. The first thing you do is to kill Ella, and then you go on a rampage. In research into misogyny and acts of mass violence, it was found that in 68% of mass shootings between 2014 and 2019, the perpetrator either killed at least one partner or family member, or had a history of domestic violence. It's also been reported on in recent years how misogyny and movements like the incel community have played a part in radicalizing young men into these kinds of acts. There's a great article that was done by Mother Jones that talks about this in great length that I highly recommend you check out. Okay, you may be starting to think that I am painting the Pink Valley in this negative, misogynistic light, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. I think the game is good, and for me to talk about this aspect, I would also need to discuss another game that I personally feel is very similar to the Pink Valley. And we would need to go back to 2005. Super Columbine Massacre RPG was a game that was released to major controversy. It depicts the day of the infamous Columbine school shooting done by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, and describes the actions that they took. The preparation, the planting of the bombs, the shooting, and taking their own lives. Then it takes a strange turn. It later turns into a romp through hell, killing enemies, meeting fictional characters, and an ending with a boss fight against South Park's version of Satan. At its release, tons of people, as well as the victims' families of the shooting, denounced the game, and eventually led to the unmasking of the creator of the game, Danny Ledone. When his identity was revealed, he released an artist statement saying that he created the game due to his own experiences of being bullied, and him seeing how he could have fallen down the same path as Eric and Dylan. He states, "It was a bit scary once I learned more about these boys, because it was like I was looking in the mirror, and I didn't want the same fate for myself." He also intended the game to be a way to explore why the Columbine shootings happened and to debunk a lot of the myths that had appeared due to the media attention it had. Many people had disregarded this statement as they believed it to be the work of someone who simply wanted attention and to shock people, but others have defended the game, including a survivor of the shooting himself, although he still didn't like how it glamorized some aspects of the killers. In my research, I found this article called Super Columbine Massacre RPG, the procedural rhetoric of critical gunplay by Susan A. and Brian L. that discusses the game and its themes and messaging in great detail. They write, "Considering the public fascination with why Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold committed the shooting, Ledone decided to create a game that enables players to simulate the pair's actions that day and to engage in a representation of the processual logics underwriting the preparation and execution of the rampage. In this way, Super Columbine Massacre RPG subverts the public obsession with finding a cause or reason for Columbine by allowing individuals to play Eric and Dylan to gain insight into the duo's actions and mental states." In my personal opinion, I feel like there is a lot of connections with some of the ideas that Super Columbine does and with the Pink Valley. The game, whether intentionally or not, tries to break down the idea of why these shootings occur and the reasonings behind it. First you begin with the violence, the mass slaughter, but then you go deeper and deeper, understanding the struggle, the neglect, and the deep-seated horrors of his own mind before confronting it head-on. There's even a recontextualization with the combat and the weapons from the first act compared to how we use them in the later acts. The Molotov cocktails are used to burn innocent people at first, but now they become a tool for survival. It also helps that the game doesn't feel coherent. Van Villedon has described the game itself as a way to deal with his own traumas and how it affected him physically and mentally. It's an expressive outlet and a way to understand and put his thoughts and feelings, whether they make sense or not, into words. It feels dreamlike at times. The world we inhabit doesn't make sense, and the things we interpret and pull out of it can change over time. There's also a lot of references to other games that the first act emulates, especially with Postal and Hatred. But I feel like this is more of a deconstruction of those games. Postal, especially the first one, does play with the mental health and disturbing nature of the main character at points, but Hatred plays it straight. It doesn't interrogate why Mr. Important does the actions outside of his introduction, and I honestly feel like the Pink Valley acts as a response to it. Why do we resort to violence when we can simply dig deeper, understand the issues, understand what causes us to act out in this way? Even Bell Hooks says this herself. "Boys learn to cover up grief with anger. The more troubled the boy, the more intense the mask of indifference. Shutting down emotionally is the best defense when the longing for connection must be denied." This feels less like a game with intentional themes, and more of an internal interrogation of Van Villedon himself. A way to understand the thoughts, whether messy, horrifying, or dangerous, that are in his mind. And this is why the Pink Valley stands out to me, and why it has related to so many people. I like the Pink Valley. Yes, it has its flaws, and I honestly do not blame people for checking it out during Act 1, or even thinking that it's simply edgy for edgy's sake. But when you dig deep, when you pry open its secrets and horrors within, it becomes something that I can't look away from. If you still want to play this game, then please check it out below. But I would recommend waiting. Why, you may ask? Well, recently Van Villadon released a developer log for the game, and honestly, it just feels like a fucking fever dream. However, in the video, he shows off a lot of cool things that are coming in a future update. New weapon mods, a new melee and ranged attack system, new weapons, and even a reworked maze section. Holy fucking shit. So yeah, a demo version of this update is apparently being released in the near future, so I highly recommend trying that out first whenever it comes out. And before I end this video, I want to leave you with something that Van Villadon said in a comment in one of the videos on his game. It reads, "Art can help to release and soothe some of our inner turmoil, but it's not the ultimate solution. Don't be afraid to ask for help and talk to others about your inner pain. Keeping it bottled up for too long will only increase the pain and can attract other unwanted feelings. You cannot heal with hate."